Alrighty, welcome back everybody to the Turn Left Podcast, episode 65. I'm your host, Ethan Ayers. This podcast is sponsored by On Point Woodworks and Sarah K. Speed Shots. Ladies and gentlemen, I got a very special guest for you this evening. That's what I normally say today. This is the first daytime episode, by the way, too.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Very special guest for you today. Stand-up comedian, writer, just back from Florida. Was just on Kill Tony episode, what was that? Doesn't matter. Just look him up on Kill Tony.
494?
Was it? Okay. Check out his podcast, This Is Not a Scott Cast, on all platforms, all the way from Fredericksburg, Virginia. Scott Wharton,
What's
everybody.
up, Ethan, man?
What's up,
How
dude?
you doing, bud?
I'm pretty good. How are
Can
you?
you hear me? Am I good?
Yeah.
Okay,
Great.
right on.
I would say I like the fact that you know how to work a mic, too. Like, a lot of my equipment is jankety, but at least you know how to keep it close and all that kind of stuff.
It's good equipment.
It's very often that I have to push it up to people, you know, 'cause I don't know where to, I don't know whether to stop their talking and say, hey, can you pull the mic in, or whether to just push it closer to them. But it's always nice when somebody's like, get right on it right away. I'm like, all right, that's settled at least.
Yeah, I definitely have some mic skills.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
have my own podcast. I do comedy. So
Yeah. I watched a couple episodes. Once I started messaging you and stuff like that, I started looking up your podcast and listened to a few episodes. I can't remember what the guy's name was on it, the last one that I listened to. But anyway, so like I said, you just got back from Florida. You're doing a little bit of stand-up down there.
I didn't do any stand-up while I was in Florida.
Okay.
I wanted to.
My bad. I was talking about Texas.
No,
but
you're
that's
fine,
my bad.
bud. Now, Florida was more or less like a dry run for the van and for the van life for my dog and I. You know what I mean? Because he's going to be staying with me and shit. So taking him, fucking like 1,200 miles to Key West and being gone for a week was a good, test on the van and how I'll have to operate with the dog.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, we talked about that before the show. You got a van so you can travel everywhere and got plenty of room and stuff like that. That's what a lot of people are doing. They got either Steve-O does his whole podcast out of his van.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild.
I saw that Tom Green is doing it too.
Yes.
With his dog.
Yep. Dang.
So, yeah.
Call you Tom Green.
Yeah.
So anyway, down in Texas, what was it like being on, because I said you were on Kill Tony, and that was a big episode. I mean, it was Joe Rogan, it was Brian Redband. Is that his name?
Yeah,
I don't watch his stuff. But
Redband used to produce Rogan's podcast.
Show, yes.
Yeah.
I knew that, but I've never kept up with him since then. I wasn't a fan back then, per se. So I don't I've watched a couple of his episodes where he was a guest on Rogan, but that's about it. I don't know what his podcast.
And Redband is the one that brought Jamie on. I think him and Jamie know each other because they're both from Columbus, Ohio. And Rogan switched Redband. He would bring Jamie in for serious podcasts. Because Redband's more, he's more silly and wild.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of transitioned from Redband to Jamie.
Okay.
Also because Redband's producing Hinchcliffe's. He produces a lot of people's podcasts for Death Squad.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's kind of a big part of his thing.
So what was that like? Obviously, was that nerve-wracking? You've done plenty of stage time, but getting into that one, knowing who's up there watching and everything like that, was that totally different ball game?
You'd think that it would be, man. But I was pretty prepared for the moment.
Oh yeah.
When they called my name, I just locked in.
You were ready.
I was ready, probably like you do when you rev your engine up. You know what I mean? When you guys start the engine, you just lock in. So as soon as they called my name and I started walking in the room, Joe and Hinchcliffe was there, and those guys are really important to the community, especially the one that's being built in Austin. And I wanted to make impression in front of them and stuff.
Yeah.
And shit, dude, that joke, I've literally been talking about telling it at the Comedy Store in front of Joe Rogan and people like that for years.
Really?
So when I finally got the opportunity to do it, it was just all right, you know what to do.
Ready to rock.
I got on stage, I kind of looked at Hinchcliffe, and he gave me a nod. Mm-hmm. And then once that happened, it was just, I totally dissociated them. They didn't exist anymore. Mm-hmm. Because I'm there for the crowd. I'm there for the audience and make them laugh. Yeah, it was a full room. Yeah. Which was, in Virginia, I haven't been dealing with full rooms for a while.
So you had a little bit of adjustment there, too.
Yeah, but fighting through those COVID nights in front of 5 and 10 people or rooms that are just comedians was really a good preparation for, now I have a room full of people that are ready to laugh and are here for comedy. And that makes a world of difference. So I definitely blocked them out and just went into my zone and did my jokes. But once I was done, it was kind of I snapped out of a trance or something, and I kind of went into that you can tell if you watch the interview and shit that I'm a little
shaky.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous.
I
My
didn't
energy
notice,
is
really.
different. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, because they know that, but they started grilling you up on stage. Not grilling you, but they started asking you a bunch of questions, and Joe was asking you personal questions. It got wild there for a minute. So I don't know. I just think because I mean you were like I said, it was Tony Hinchcliffe, Red Band, Joe Rogan. I mean,
Brian
you got,
Moses.
Okay,
Brian
yeah, all these
Moses.
guys you got to dap up and do stand up in front of. I don't know. I was jealous in a good way. And not only that, but you drove all the way down there from here.
I flew down there.
Really?
I flew to Austin. So my friend Munford Davis, who is another stand-up comedian, actually from this area.
Yeah.
So he had tickets. He had gotten tickets for Christmas to go down to Austin because he's a comedian and that's where everything's going. And his family wanted him to go test the waters and see if he could do it. So the first guy, the other comedian that he wanted to bring with him, Monty Giles, who's also from the area, he wasn't able to go. So Munford offered me the spot. So I was lucky enough to get the ticket, the plane ride out there to do it in the first place.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when you went down there, it wasn't like you're definitely going to get a spot on Kill Tony, was it?
No, yeah.
You have to. You take a chance.
Yeah. So it was like there was like 50 or 60 comedians out there.
Yeah.
And there was like 3 lists as big as your notebook sheet of paper that were filling your name and it was 3 columns on each piece of paper. Wow. So there was a lot of comedians standing out there, man, waiting to see if their name's going to get called and shit.
And yours got called, luckily.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
That's awesome.
By the grace of the universe or God or Allah,
all the way from
whatever
Virginia.
you want to call it. Yeah.
I wonder how far other people travel. I guess you said there's a lot of comedians, so probably a lot all over the place. But
yeah, there's definitely people there that were doing the same thing, going for a week to kind of test the waters, going for a month, or just moved there, and people from all over, from Minnesota and Connecticut and Florida, Michigan. There's people from everywhere, L.A., of course.
That place really is going to blow up as far as stand-up comedy. Joe Rogan's not messing around. Everybody kind of says, "Is he going to?" I think it's actually happening, and it's going to happen. Because Tom Segura's down there too now. So a lot of big names.
Hinchcliffe is down there, and I think he's kind of using that as a home base for his podcast. So, yeah, man.
You're still on.
You're fine?
Yeah.
It's very ambient.
Yeah. It was like we were making a vlog. No, that's so awesome, though, dude. And especially because, like I said, that it worked out and everything, for you. And when I was listening, I don't know where I got linked up, because I'm not going to lie, and this is more of offensive to Tony Hinchcliffe. I'm not a avid watcher of Kill Tony. I like the show. It's just not my first. I've got a laundry list of podcasts I listen to.
Right.
So I just don't always get to it. But I saw on some Facebook group or something, somebody tagged you and said, check out my buddy. Joe Rogan was a big fan of your set. And so when I heard them say Fredericksburg, I'm like, Virginia? I'm like, oh, I got to message this guy right now. I got to get him on. And also, again on that, back to the joke that you told on stage, I heard you say your patented dog on LSD joke. Do you have to actually patent something like that, or is that you just said that?
Yeah, that's
a stupid question probably, but I didn't know because I've heard of joke stealing and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
I've definitely thought about trying to legally claim my writings as my my creative property, my intellectual property. You know what I mean? I do worry about that at times, but at the same time, now that particular joke is out there on YouTube on an internationally watched podcast. So it's kind of impossible to steal it from me at this point. At least that's
a good thing.
I call it my patented joke because that's like my go-to. That's my favorite joke to tell.
Okay.
It's probably my favorite.
Yeah,
joke.
yeah. And like I said, it might have been a bad or a dumb question. I just don't know because I've never.
No,
when I
you're
started
fine.
this, I was thinking about maybe I could do stand-up comedy, and I actually labeled this as a comedy podcast when I first started. I was so thought I could be like a comedian.
Well, that's
obviously
your
it changed
influences
over.
for the podcast, isn't it? You earlier when we were talking, you named Theo.
Oh yeah, dude, that's all I listen to is comedy
like Bill
podcasts. So
Burr,
I'm
too?
definitely into it. It's just one, I'm not that funny, and two, when you're starting out podcasting or anything really, it's always tough. So I was trying to learn the equipment and the podcasting and trying to rip jokes and stuff, and they weren't good. So I was just like, clearly people just want me to talk about race and stuff more. So I kind of switched gears a little bit. But I'm obviously open. That's why you're
Pun
here.
intended. Switch gears.
Unintended, but I like that. But so anyways, I don't know. I changed it up and kind of do more racing stuff now. Obviously, I'm still open to have comedians on and everything. I'm
Right.
totally down.
Well,
But
you found a niche too. How many racing podcasts are there out? Probably
Just
not a lot.
There's a few of them, but really the only one is Dale Jr. Download, which is Dale Jr. has this podcast,
That's cool.
It's called the Dale Jr. It's pretty big. It's not like Joe Rogan big though. I mean, let's be honest.
That was my favorite driver when I was a kid.
Junior?
Junior, yeah. Well, Dale Earnhardt, and then he passed away, of course.
Yeah.
And then I think everybody who was a Earnhardt fan adopted Junior as their favorite.
Yep. Except for me, I went Kyle Busch.
Yeah. So you liked Dale before you were a Dale Earnhardt fan, and then you kind of transitioned to Kyle Busch?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, we were pretty young, I guess, when he passed, because I think we're similar age.
Yeah, how old are you?
29.
Same, yeah, I'm 29.
So we were kind of young when that happened, but yeah, I mean, I was kind of a Dale Earnhardt fan. I just remember not being a Jeff Gordon fan, but I love Jeff Gordon now. You know what I mean? Like, and especially as an announcer, but yeah, I wasn't a Jeff Gordon fan, and those were the two big names at the time. My dad was a Davey Allison fan, but then he passed, I think, in 92, 93, so we were really young when that happened. So
it's funny too because they're like kind of opposite ends of the spectrum as like far as personality and background. You know.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
Earnhardt's
that's why
more
it worked.
nitty gritty and you know he's born into racing. His dad was a racer and shit
He
like
used
that.
to work on the cars. Jeff Gordon's this California boy. You know what I mean? It's a perfect scenario.
Parents
actually.
got
for
money and shit.
Black hat, white hat. You know, somebody's got to wear.
Right.
It's perfect, really.
Yeah.
Think about it.
It was like Stone Cold and The Rock or something. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So anyway, I don't even know what I was talking about before that, but like I said, I'm always down to have comedians on. Your podcast is on Facebook too. You do it live and then upload it kind of the same way. This is not a Scott cast if you guys want to go. And that's on your that's on your page. Yeah. Comedian Scott Wharton.
And then I'm on YouTube too. Comedian Scott Wharton, same thing.
Okay.
And this is not Scott on Instagram and Twitter.
Cool.
But and then everything, like all the audio files are on FXBG Public Radio. That's who I do my podcast through, the studio that I do it through.
Okay.
And then they upload everything for me to Spotify and iTunes and shit like that.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I've noticed you do it in a legit studio. You said they let you do it there, and then
This is a nice studio. What are you talking about,
Well,
man?
yeah, this is a legit studio too. But you have I appreciate it. But you said yours is actually a Titans fan. I became a Titans fan when I was like a little kid when they like switched over from the Oilers.
Okay.
But when you do your podcast, you do it on Facebook and then you upload it. And what's the name of the studio?
FXBG Public Radio.
And that's in Fredericksburg?
Yeah. FXBG is like the acronym for Fredericksburg.
Oh, really?
Fucksburg, whatever. Fucksbug, whatever it is.
That's too funny. I didn't even put the spelling together. I'm like, what is that, abbreviation? And that, so you're not far from Dominion. We were talking a little bit about that. So you have been there, and you've even, I wouldn't say performed there. Maybe you could. What was your situation at Dominion? What were you doing?
So at Dominion Raceway up there at exit 118 in Thornburg, it's the first
They
exit.
know it. They know it. Yeah, my fans do.
It's the first one once you enter Spotsylvania. That's my hometown. I grew up Spotsylvania. So,
You ever been to Indian Acres campground?
oh, of course, dude. I grew up fucking hanging out over there and shit.
Really?
Dragged her. Hell yeah.
It's funny. I've probably seen you there because I used to go there a lot. My brother had a campsite there.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I hung out there a lot as a kid, man.
Yeah.
Totally Indian Acres.
Yeah.
I got family all down in Thornburg. So, yeah. My family owns a sawmill down there in Thornburg. They actually used to own that corner where, like, the food line and all that shit is.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm very well, I know Indian Acres, and, yeah, I grew up getting dragged around there to parties, when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Having to watch my dad and his friends get drunk and shit.
Mm-hmm.
But no, so I worked Dan Teresa is a friend of my father's, and he used to run like kind of the entertainment at Dominion. Like he would book the music shows that they were doing at the Groove Music Hall there on the infield. And I actually think they built a big stage on the infield too, so they could do like outdoor shows.
Yeah.
But they were doing around Christmas and Halloween. They'd do like kind of like a tour of the track where they have a school bus and they attach paintball guns to the windows of the school bus, and then families can come or adults can come and get drunk at the bar at the 118 Bar and Grill, and families can come and pay to get on the bus and go ride around and shoot people with paintball guns. And I got paid to get shot with paintball guns.
Yeah, I was talking about that. Like, that would hurt, man. Hopefully that was lucrative to you.
Yeah, it was cold.
Really?
Yeah, fucking right, it was cold. And no, it wasn't lucrative. It was like $10
Do you at
an
least
hour.
get a mask? What if you get hit in the face?
Yeah,
Okay.
we had like the paintball masks and
Okay,
stuff
good.
like that.
It's
And
nice
they
to
had
eat.
all sorts of like they had like a room full of shit that was like foam and cardboard and duct tape, like here, make your own padding type deal.
Oh, okay. So you have your own armor body shop.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Oh man. Yeah, like I said, that sounds just I don't know, I guess it would be fun. It's just, did you have to dress up as a zombie or anything like that?
Yeah, dress up as a zombie.
Okay.
The cool part about it is, you know, it was the road course, right? So they're driving around the road course, and they have us on the infield grass. And they had brought like campers out there, old campers, and I guess the fire department they were about to get donated to the fire department to use as, you know, test shit.
They probably came from that graveyard at Indian Acres.
At Indian Acres, yep, because they're out there selling. They're renewing all those lots and shit, and cleaning up all the lots. So, but yeah, they had those out there. So in between runs, because they would run like every 20 minutes, 30 minutes or something like that, the buses. So in between getting shot, we go in the trailers that, you know, all the fuck ups and the hardheads that are out there getting paid $10 an hour to be zombies and get shot with paintballs. We're eating mushrooms and dosing acid and getting drunk and smoking blunts, man. It was a good old time. That was a lot. That was a really fun experience. It sucked getting shot with paintballs, but it was like, well, I'm getting paid to have fun. Fuck it, whatever.
Yeah, and I'm ripped. Yeah, I guess that's true too. If you can go in there and take a couple shots of whiskey or something, maybe it lessens the pain a little bit. Or if you're on a different dimension, you know what I mean? If you're on mushrooms, you're like, oh, that kind of hurts, but I'm okay. I'm an out of body experience. I guess it hurts for that guy down there, you know?
Right, exactly.
That's too funny.
Do you have any experience with psychedelics?
Not me, no. I listened to Joe Rogan enough to where I feel like I've done them a few times. But no, not me, no.
Okay.
How long you been doing comedy? That's what I meant to ask you earlier.
So I'm entering into my 4th year. I've done it 3 years. March 8th, 2018 was the first day that I did stand-up comedy. So yeah,
you remember the day?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Of course. It's a very important day in my life.
So you're right at 3 years and a couple days now, or a couple weeks.
Yeah. Yep. Literally, yeah, like 3 years and 2 weeks.
And did you already have your podcast and all that kind of stuff, or what were you doing before that? Like,
I had shit before that. I was fucking selling dope and being a fuck up, man.
Really?
Yeah. You know, I've worked hard labor and shit my whole life, doing tree work, lumberjack work and shit. Kind of got born into that. I've been selling weed and shit since I was like 16.
Yeah.
Yeah, I dated this girl for a while from like 2011 to 2017.
Oh yeah.
So a lot of our time was spent together. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I always wanted to do comedy. It was something I always wanted to do. But I was a fuck up. I didn't have my own car. I didn't have a license for a while. So there was no getting to Richmond or getting to DC for open mics. And then when I was living over at the hotel, over on living at the Travel Lodge over on Route 1 in Fredericksburg.
Oh dang.
Yeah, I lived there for like 3 or 4 years.
Really?
So, yeah.
Wow.
So when I was living there, they started doing open mics at Hard Times, a bar that I could like walk to.
Oh.
It was less than a mile from my hotel. So I went over there and watched the first couple shows, and after watching 3, the host kept pushing me to do comedy, and by that time I had already had some shit written that I wanted to try. Mm-hmm. So I started doing it, man, and I never stopped.
Yeah.
I never stopped.
Yeah, you're passionate about it.
Yeah.
Do you still have like a notebook where you have all your jokes? Do you ever go back and try to hone in on some, or do you ever go back and like I've got a notebook of jokes. Like I said, I was thinking about this is going to be a comedy podcast. I was going to do skits from. So I have like a notebook, and sometimes I look back on the jokes. I'm like, that is funny. And sometimes I look back and I'm like, what was I thinking?
Yeah.
Like, was I drunk that night? Why did I even write that down? That's not funny.
Yeah. So I still have all my notebooks. I have like a bunch of composition books that are just filled, because I'll go through and write jokes and then rewrite them. You know, whether it's for memorization or I thought of a different way to say this. You know what I mean, cut the fat.
Yeah, a lot of times you have to rework them. I know that just from listening to so many comedy podcasts. Like I said, I don't have any comedy experience, but I know a decent amount about it somewhat just from them talking about having to rework their jokes and honing in on them and stuff like that.
A lot of being a good comedian is being a good editor.
Really?
To edit your jokes, you know what I mean? To go back and look at what you could add and what you could cut out, man. That makes a huge difference. Like when I first started, my jokes were really wordy, very wordy.
Okay.
And as I started doing comedy more, I started figuring out more of the nuances and the way in which to speak, because it's almost like tuning a guitar. You know, you have these things you want to say, but there's a certain way to say them, and there's a certain cadence that you want to have with your words. You know what I mean? You want
timing.
them to flow in a certain way that hits people's ear correctly.
Yeah. And
So
let them set themselves up a little bit.
Right. So it's a lot of figuring that out. But yeah, I still have all my notebooks, dude. I've taken my notebooks from my first one, and I've gone through, and every completed joke, every premise that I'm like, this has potential, anything like that I see potential in or have used and worked, I've typed up in my laptop.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And
So I have
another filter there, like these are the ones that I think are better.
And I have it typed up in full notebook form, and then I have it in, here's all my drug jokes, here's all my dating jokes, here's all this jokes.
Here's all my dogs on drugs jokes.
Right. And then I have one that's like, this is my master sheet, and that's all the jokes that I've used that I know work.
Really?
You know what I mean? And then I have another sheet that I just worked on recently that's like 20 minutes worth of jokes ordered in a certain way, and so that they chain together and they all kind of tell a story and flow together in a certain way.
Yeah. And I'm sure at the beginning, a lot of comedians talk about, have you ever bombed? Like, that horrifies me. I mean, granted, I bombed the first like 30 or 40 episodes of this podcast, but
That's the thing
bombing
about
on
comedy.
stage, I feel like it would just be weird because I don't know.
It's like being a race car driver. It's like whether you're fucking Jimmy Johnson, Dale Earnhardt, Jeff Gordon, you're gonna wreck.
Yeah.
There's gonna be crashes. You're gonna have bad days. You know, your engine's gonna blow up. Whatever.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the same concept as comedy. It's like you're gonna bomb. It's gonna happen. People aren't gonna. And even jokes that you know are funny that work 90% of the time, they're not gonna hit every time. You get different audiences. You deliver differently. You know what I mean? You have different rooms. There's all sorts of different variables that tie into whether you're going to succeed or not.
Yeah, whether you need a standing ovation afterwards.
Right.
Does that ever happen? Does everybody like? I mean, obviously you did well on Kill Tony. I mean, Joe Rogan of all people was a big fan.
Yeah.
I probably said it 5 times this episode. I'm just like I said. I'm like, I don't know. I'm just excited for you for that.
I
That was a
appreciate
big
that,
moment.
man.
I think,
It was.
I think it was a big turning point in your career too, because I've noticed like an uptick in your viewership and stuff like that as far as your following.
It has been. It's totally been an axis mundi, a center point for everything that I'm doing.
Yeah.
The most important thing is to not get complacent and to not let it go to my head and go, oh, Joe Rogan thinks I'm funny, and then just get stale and not keep working.
Yeah. All right, I'll roast you the rest of this podcast.
Right, exactly. Yeah. You got to keep me humble, man.
Yeah.
You got to check my ego.
Yeah, that wasn't cool at all. Sorry.
Smoke crack. Man.
Yeah. Yeah, he was talking you into smoking crack.
What was the question again?
I just mostly, have you ever gotten like a standing ovation?
A standing ovation.
You said you've bombed. I mean, that's
No,
naturally.
I never really got a standing ovation. Last night was actually my first time headlining a show that I was like the last comedian to go up at a paid gig.
That's pretty cool.
I didn't get a standing ovation, but a lot of times after shows, you have people that come up to you and tell you, that was really funny.
Yeah.
Good show, et cetera, things like that. And I always make it a point, too, to try to walk around, because I'm not doing huge rooms with 500 fucking people. Not yet. But I try to make it a point to walk around the rooms of 20, 50, 100 people and talk to as many people as I can and thank them for coming out to the show. And anybody that I did crowd work with, you know what I mean? I usually go up to talk to them and, hey, thanks for being a good sport. I appreciate you, playing along with me and shit. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, while you're growing, you have to do the, hands on the shoulders, talk to everybody.
Yeah, it's a very grassroots kind of campaign, man. And I'm not doing that because I'm like, this is the way you operate. I genuinely feel that way. Like, thank you for coming out, because without you, I don't have an opportunity to do this. You know what I mean? Like, it's a symbiotic relationship. Yeah, it's a team. Exactly, man.
Yeah, without the fans, you obviously can't do stand-up. You're just standing up on a stage.
Right. It's just you talking to a room full of comedians.
I heard that you were thinking about moving down to Texas.
Yeah, that's my plan.
Or maybe you already said that on here.
So what's today, the 21st? So my plan is to be in Texas by April 21st, a month from today.
Really?
So this next week, now that I've gotten back from Florida, that was kind of like I said, my dry run for van life and shit like that. And it was also a vacation for me and my dog.
Yeah.
But it's the last hurrah before it's like, all right, I really got to put my nose to the grindstone. This week is, let's start insulating the van and then doing the rest of the installations for the the electrical components for like my my wiring for my solar panels, my fan. Yeah, I got solar panels on top of the van. I don't know if you saw
Whoa,
that.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, they're not hooked up yet.
Okay.
But I have all the components that I need for it. I'm just trying to make sure I do everything right and do it step by step. And then once that's done and I can, get my money right a little bit, that way I'm not going down there and I'm broke when I get there. Then yeah, my plan is to head straight to fucking Austin once I get that van in order.
That's dope.
Yeah,
I have just in
to
time,
be there.
huh?
I have to be there.
Yeah.
And yeah, it'll be just in time. Everybody's saying like April, that's when everything's going to start popping off. So.
No, I'm saying I caught you just in time.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I don't think you would have come up here from Texas. Fredericksburg's a little closer.
Yeah.
When I messaged you, I'm like, Fredericksburg's not that far, but hopefully he'll be willing to come down. So I appreciate you driving down.
Dude,
I know it's not that close. I've had a couple guys come in an ice storm from like Langley, or like from Virginia Beach, from Langley Speedway. So that was wild too. Shout out to them.
Was that back in late February when we had that ice storm?
Yeah.
That's when I flew out to California.
Oh, really? So you
Yeah.
weren't even here for it?
I flew out the day that it was started, the ice storm.
Really?
I was worried that my flight was going to get canceled. I had to drive up to Dulles in the fucking ice storm. In the snow. Yeah. I went to Cali for 3 days and got back, and the next day I went to Texas.
Okay.
Yeah.
I talked about the. I don't want to do any tell me a joke, but I'm going to run some by you. All right. I'm going to do it to myself. Okay. I got a couple for you. You think?
Sadist, huh?
Yeah. Like I said, I did a couple. Like when I started this podcast, I started doing them on my own. I didn't realize I was throwing myself to the wolves. A lot of like comedy podcasts I've listened to, they're like, "Are you doing by yourself? Like that's crazy." I'm like, "Yeah, no." Kind of narcissistic, I think too. But especially when I'm out here by myself and there's nobody even backstage, it's like really kind of eerie because I'm literally just sitting out here talking by myself to myself.
It's practice, though.
Yeah, it is. It's cool.
Practice.
But
yeah, workshop the jokes, bro. I
Yeah,
don't think I've had anybody workshop jokes on a podcast before. That's pretty cool.
it's a new format we're doing just today. Daytime episode and a new format here just for us. Like I've got, and they're mostly short one-liners and stuff, but and I did a podcast recently, Thickness in the Shine. It's out in California. Have you ever done that one? Okay, yeah, check them out. They'd have you on for sure, especially because you're legit stand-up and stuff. But they were cool guys. They're out in Cali. It was a Zoom, obviously. So, but they were smoking CBD or whatever. I don't know what they were smoking.
They were probably smoking flower up there in California.
Yeah. So
this is CBD.
Yeah. Sponsored by RVA CBD.
Are you really?
No, that'd be tight.
We're trying to get that sponsored.
Yeah, we're working on it. But when we did that show, I can't remember what the question was. They asked me, I'm like, I'm not a heavy smoker, but I smoke a lot when I drink, and I drink a lot. I'm a heavy drinker, so what does that tell you? You know what I mean? And then another one where I'm trying to remember. I should have written them down better, but oh yeah, okay. Here's another one. This one's actually true. Well, that one was too. Ethan Ayers is a famous porn star.
Okay.
I don't know if you knew that.
Usually don't try to learn the male porn stars' names either.
Yeah, that would be embarrassing. Not only that, but he's a gay porn star too.
Okay,
So-
I definitely try not to learn those guys'
Yeah,
names.
yeah.
Riley Reed, I know her.
I thought I was like a cool Facebook driver. I mean, a race car driver. And I tried to like Google my name one day. And I was horrified. You know what I mean? So anyway, so I found out legit my first and last name, exactly the way it's spelled, is a adult film star that does acts with other men.
With other men, yeah.
Yeah.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah,
It's just
the word
not my
spread
cup
through
of
high
tea.
school. Yeah. No.
Oh, so
Nothing
this has been known since you were in high school.
Yeah, so word spread. So the people that didn't know, I'd try to hide it. But, if I started to use it a little bit in my favor, you know what I mean? If I'd meet a girl or something like that, I would say, I'm Ethan Ayers, the porn star. And they're like, you're not a porn star. Like, there's no way. I'm like, yeah, I have to lie about my age, But so this is before phones and everything, too. So obviously the next day they would come up to me like, you're not a porn star? I looked it up. I'd be like, you were looking, though, huh? So that's just a silly, stupid joke that I have. But that really is, a porn star. I don't think he's active anymore.
You could definitely write more jokes about that.
I know.
That's a good premise.
Yeah, I know.
Same name as a porn star.
Yeah. Well, I've opened the
What else
show
would
with
you do?
I'm the podcaster, not the porn star. I've done that a few times.
I like that.
Yeah.
Ethan Ayers, the podcast, or nothing. We need merch that says that.
Yeah. Well, the guy that was on last night, when he came on the first time, he literally, that's what he shared. He's like, I'm excited to go on the show with Ethan Ayers, the podcaster, not the porn star. So it's growing throughout the community anyway. What's up, Arthur? What's up, Chuck? I think that's I don't give a fuck, Chuck. And
Is that Chuck Woolery?
Willard? Do you know him?
No.
Okay, I was say that might be a different Chuck. I don't know. And then another one, but this one in this day and age is kind of touchy.
Don't get canceled.
I know. It's just about how the English language is so, kind of racist in my opinion. Like, if you think about it, like, what do you call a white bear?
Oh, a bear? A white
polar
bear? A polar bear. Okay.
What do you call a white and black bear? Panda bear. What do you call a brown bear?
A grizzly.
What do you call a black bear?
A black bear.
So racist. That's the end of the joke. It's just, like I said, it doesn't age well in this day and age, but it's just funny. I was thinking about that when I was driving down the road. I'm like, dang, how does the black bear not have a name other than just the black bear? Like, it seems kind of fucked up.
It'd be funnier if a black comedian did it and was like, what do you call a black bear? A nigga.
Oh!
Like, you know what I mean? Like, that would hit. You know what I mean?
Would hit. Yeah. That's true. I guess I can't do the joke as well, but I'll work on it. I can't do blackface for it. I don't think that would be accepted. Don't think that would work. Can you imagine if I walked up on stage in blackface? You also said that you kind of run the Fredericksburg scene. Is there any way you do an open mic?
So
Can I get on there?
Yeah, dude, you can get on the open mic. My friend, one of my mentors, Brandon Moore, he's running the event now.
Okay.
So when I started doing comedy, Christopher Keyser was running the open mic at Hard Times, and then he started doing the paid shows at the Comedy Zone at this venue called Central Station.
Uh-huh.
So that was going on, and then I left town that October 2018, to go with these guys, Treesus and Spencer, and we started Lumber Laughs. They were already doing Tree Hustle. They're other lumberjacks that were traveling around the country, doing podcasts and creating content and being comedic and meeting people, meeting like Facebook friends. I was doing the same things too.
Yeah.
And so when Treesus saw that, he wanted to link up with me. So I left town with them for like 3 months. Came back in 2019, and by that time Keyser had moved. Right around the time that I left, Keyser had like a roast show, the Roast of Keyser, and he moved to South Carolina. So then Brandon kind of started running the shows we had left Hard Times and we were strictly at Central Station. So Brandon ran the shows at Central Station from 2019 through early 2020. And then like February or March 2020, he gave it to me. And at that point, I'd already been hosting my own open mic in town at the Rec Center, which is like my home venue. That's the place that is near and dear to my heart. The Recreation Center on William Street, downtown Fredericksburg, has been open since like 1947.
Okay.
That's where, my grandma and grandpa used to take me downtown for lunch whenever we go downtown and shit.
Okay.
The best chili dogs in the world, and their chili dogs are on fire. If you like chili dogs, fuck Martinsville. Get on down to Fredericksburg.
Have you been to Martinsville?
Nope, but I know that the chili dogs are the talk of the town.
Yeah. Yeah, they are. But at the same time, they're Jesse Jones hot dogs. Those real red hot dogs.
Uh-huh.
They're not bad when you're drinking beer all day and stuff, but like I bought them from the store to have them at home. I'm like, I'm going to make me a Martinsville hot dog at home. And I was like, this hot dog is definitely subpar. So,
dude, if you're ever in Fredericksburg, we'll go over to the Rec Center and have a couple beers, shoot some pool, and fucking get some chili dogs, man.
I'm down.
And it's a cool spot like that too, man. It's really got that feel.
Yeah.
And they're one of the few places in town that does local music. And that's why, I was able to get in with them, Melissa, the owner, and be able to start doing comedy and stuff there. And they're still thriving and doing good. Everybody struggled through COVID. So I was already doing the open mic at the Rec Center. Sorry, I went on a tangent there.
You're good. And
then Brandon gave me Grapevine, which was on Wednesday nights in downtown Fredericksburg, and then KC's, which was on Thursday nights, because he's from Northern Virginia. It's a 30-minute drive for him to get to Fredericksburg, and I had really taken the reins kind of everything. You know what I mean? I had a good sense of the community and a good vision for what Fredericksburg comedy needed to be. And, whether people admit it or not, or whether I like to say it or not, because it does feel like an ego thing. I do know that certain people like look up to me or look to me, like doing comedy with me and shit like that. You know what I'm saying?
And there's a lot of comedy clubs. You listed off quite a few just there.
So
like compared to Richmond, there's just the one, isn't there? Funny Bone?
So those are all like just bars that have let us do open mics, have stages for live music, and let us do showcases and stuff like that.
Even that, though, I don't know how much of that happens in Richmond. Maybe I just don't know about it.
That happens a lot in Richmond. There's some places in Richmond that Home Sweet Home is one of them. Busky, there's a place called Busky Brewery that they do shows on Saturday nights and Sundays.
Okay.
I think they had one this weekend. Carlton, this guy Carlton runs it. They run really clean, nice show, and they're always packed out. But a lot of the places that we do comedy aren't dedicated comedy clubs.
Yeah.
Man, I was fucking doing showcases in a smoke shop in town.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was, hey, can we do, a buddy of mine that I worked with doing, like writing blogs and shit.
Yeah.
He started working with the smoke shop, and he's trying to work with like entertainment and marketing and within the community and things like that. Him and I have been pretty tight, my buddy Zach Champ. So, yeah, dude, I was like, hey, can I bring a microphone and a speaker in here and some comedians and set up, and we'll do pop-up comedy shows, and we'll riff on the people that come in the store to fucking buy weed shit.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so
I like the ingenuity and just like a lot of comics that are passionate like you are. They have a story like that where at the beginning they're like, I was doing it out of my mom's garage or something like crazy. So yeah, the fact that you were doing it in a smoke shop. I respect the hustle, but yeah, that is wild to think about. Like, you go in to buy some stogies, and like this guy's like, in there doing comedy, which I like it. It's just, you know what I mean? It's just crazy to think where you started out. Is it ever weird to look back and think about like some of those times?
It's not weird. It's, it was. I look back at those times now and recognize how they were training grounds for where I'm at now.
Yeah.
And that without realizing when I was doing those things that I was really setting myself up for success now. Because like I said, when I go to Austin, Texas, and when I go to these rooms that are full now, as opposed to doing comedy in front of 5 people or 10 people at a smoke shop, it's a world of difference,
Yeah.
So I'm really thankful, actually, for the COVID and the coronavirus and all the restrictions, because it definitely helped make me a better comedian.
Really?
By trying to force opportunities and not, retreat to Zoom comedy shows, which I don't find fun. What other people like is whatever makes your heart happy.
Yeah.
As long as you don't hurt me. But
me? I'm not going. No, just kidding.
But all that really was a good setup for where I'm at now, and I used to get discouraged a lot too when there'd be low attendance audiences. But now I'm happy about it. I'm like, cool, I've got 5 friends to fucking talk to. Let's party.
Yeah,
because that's what
you feel a little bit more free too. You feel like you can say whatever you want. It's almost more like a podcast. That's why a lot of people love podcasts, because you're just sitting in a small studio or whatever like this, and you're just talking amongst 2 people. So it's much more of a homey feel. I don't know the word for it, but yeah, I think that maybe a little bit more romantic, if that makes sense. Like only having 5 people, because like I said, you can kind of
it's more intimate. Yeah.
Yeah. You can kind of set it up a little bit better. Or not only that, but for somebody like me, if I were to ever do something like that, it'd probably be a lot less nervous, because when you look at it, the big crowd, you're like, oh God. As opposed to if there's just a few people, you're like, well, if I bomb, I'll just walk off.
Right, it's just in front of these few people.
Yeah. But does it make it harder because the laughter, even when you're going off, there's only 5 people laughing, so it's not that loud, but I guess you can still hear them.
That does have a little bit of an effect, but especially because of coronavirus, and they want people 6 feet apart, and there's only 3 different parties coming out a night because everybody's scared of the virus, and it's 3 tables of people and comedians, and everybody's spread out.
Yeah.
It does make it harder just for comedy, because it's an energy thing that we do.
Yeah.
We want a tight room with a low ceiling, and the tables and the people as close together as possible, like a church, like they sit in pews.
Yeah.
Because your energy is closer together, and you get like a domino effect off laughter. Because there's a lot of times where people don't understand jokes, but they just laugh
Yeah.
to go along with the crowd, with society.
Hearing other people laugh is a lot of times funny.
Yeah, exactly.
Too. Like some people just have funny laughs, or just like I've heard jokes that don't hit, but when I hear like not a laugh track, but that's why that exists too. When you hear a laugh track, it's so that maybe you can laugh at it too. But I've heard jokes that don't have a laugh track versus when they do, and they do definitely hit different. Like that wasn't even a good joke, but if there's somebody laughing at it,
it makes a difference.
Yeah, it changes the whole thing. And then also too, sometimes if it's like a deep joke, like you said, you don't even get it. You're wondering like, what am I missing here? Like I know it's funny apparently, but there's something I don't get about it. So you kind of laugh at that too.
Right. It's just a sort of fall.
You kind of like fit in. You're like, ha, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm not
exactly.
an idiot.
Exactly,
yeah.
Exactly. So there's a little bit of that to it too. So we, as comedians, we want that, and there is definitely times that shows feel off because this joke works, but it's not working right now, or only 2 people are laughing. But you just have to be conscious that it's the environment, it's the situation you're in.
Yeah.
And the thing, too, in those situations, that's when you need to be doing crowd work and just talking to people like you're at a party or at a bar or like you're with your friends, because at whatever point in your life that you thought, hey, I could be a comedian, it was probably because of, hooking up with your buddies.
Yeah.
And cutting up with your friends and shit and being at parties and around your family or whatever.
You're right. How many times have you said, and I think everybody said this, but I've said it 1,000 times, and people have said it oftenly to me, like, how funny would it be if we just had, like, a recording of the conversations that we sometimes have? Yeah. That's what podcasting is.
Right,
think
exactly.
About it, but I've literally heard that. A lot of people say it, I think. I'm sure you thought that before you did your own podcast. You're like, yeah, I do that now. But, like, before that, everybody always says, after, like, a really funny situation or, like, what if we recorded that or something and put it out there? Like, it would be, a 10. But now that's what we're doing.
My friend group that I regularly trip with, I love psychedelics. And, anybody that's watching this, psychedelics are great.
I ate 10 mushrooms before this started, but I'm doing okay.
None of the thoughts, views, opinions, or actions of me are a reflection of the sponsors of this podcast.
Yeah. It's all good. They're
but
cool.
my friends that I like to trip with, man, every time I'm like, man, I wish we had footage. I wish we had highlight footage from this night, because it's gold. It would kill as a sitcom, as a movie or something.
Yeah, I was gonna say, have you ever done your podcast like tripping?
No, I want to. My cousin Mike wants to start a podcast called Mainly Weird.
Okay. That would be where at, here or down in Texas?
Shit, I think he wants to move to Texas too.
Really?
Hopefully.
Yeah. And what about because I guess the infamous Ari Shaffir Bert Kreischer incident, right?
Yeah.
So I guess I want to see that episode
Ari,
though.
man.
I know I want to see that episode because they never like put it out when he drugged him.
Right, they never put it out.
Oh,
no, yeah,
he drugged him, and like it was a big situation. Obviously, Bert wasn't mad at the time because he couldn't be because he was like tripping. But his wife was pissed. He had to go on a flight that night. Like his kids are in the house with him. Like Ari didn't realize the severity of it.
Right,
but yeah, he drugged him.
And you know what? As much as I love Ari, and that situation is funny to me. But personally, I would never unknowingly dose somebody a psychedelic substance just out of respect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It was, it's funny to joke about it. I'm sure it's, like I said, not funny to Bert or his wife. Bert kind of laughs it off, but yeah, it was just, the only thing I know about that episode, because they've talked about it a few times, is Bert saying something like, what's wrong with you? Are you tripping right now or something like that? And Ari went, are you tripping right now? And Bert, had a, epiphany, am I? What's going on?
What'd you do to me, motherfucker?
He's like, yeah, I drugged you.
But I wanted to go back to talking about the comedy community.
Yeah, go for it.
I don't want to just sound like I'm some...
I probably cut you off. It's probably
No. We've been going on different tangents.
Yeah.
Man. That's what podcasts
I tend to do that.
No,
a lot of times.
I do that shit too.
Yeah.
Oh. But so Brandon handed off those 2 shows to me, the Grapevine Cafe and the KC's Music Alley, and I already had the rec center that I had been doing since October, and this was in February. So he gave me these shows. So now I'm running shows Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday night of the week, and not just running the shows, but making the flyers and doing trying to work on my own comedy and jokes, trying to work on being a better host, and trying to run the event, market the event, and shit like that too.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, it gets so fucking overwhelming, man.
Podcasting too, not to even, it's like before I got into it, I'm like, oh, you just sit there and talk and it's easy. But then, like you said, uploading and all that stuff, it's a pain.
That's the thing that people
don't realize. A lot of stuff, to promoting making the promo, posts and stuff like that. It's just like every day it seems like it's something. Not to complain.
I think that's a thing that a lot of people don't think about as far as trying to be a comedian nowadays as compared to like then, like when Chappelle and Rogan or Richard Pryor, even when those type of people came up, is at some point they had to do a lot of the work themselves, right? Rogan had to do a lot of work himself to get to the point where he's at now.
Yeah.
But after a certain point, he's had a lot of help, a lot of assistants and accountants and managers and agents and all those things, where I'm everything. I'm my own agent. I'm my own manager. I'm trying to manage my own life.
At least for now. The dream is to get big enough to where you have all that stuff.
Right, exactly.
But yeah, they don't have to worry about all that. They get to worry on honing in their jokes and stuff like that. You're paying bills and doing all this extra other stuff.
And social media and shit is a blessing. Social media and YouTube and things like that are a blessing and can be a powerful tool for comedians and entertainers in my generation, my era. It can also be a huge fucking anchor as compared to Rogan and Chris Rock and shit like that, because they didn't have to worry about posting on Snapchat and Instagram and Facebook, and I have to promote this fucking show on all 100 goddamn platforms and do all these goddamn things. You know what I mean?
I know.
It is
a lot. It makes you wonder how they even got their name out there back in the day. You know, just by
being funny. And well, it had to be easier to write jokes and put your nose to the grindstone where you didn't have to worry about all the extra shit.
Yeah.
And hey, don't get me wrong, I'm sure a lot of those guys hosted open mics and shows like that too, and there were times they had to go print out flyers and walk around New York City handing out fucking flyers like somebody trying to hand out mixtapes.
Yeah.
To get, and out there barking for their shows.
Yeah.
But it's
so they went through the grind, but they're way past that.
Exactly.
And that's why they're so good now, is because of not having to worry about that other stuff.
Right, exactly. I think that, like I said, the social media and the internet can be a blessing, but it can also be a fucking curse.
Yeah.
But yeah, all those successful people that you love, like, yeah, there's, 24 hours in the day, and The Rock probably uses 20 of them or 18, what the fuck ever.
Yeah.
At the same time, he has all those assistants that I just named that help make their life so much easier.
Yeah.
They even have social media managers, someone to take their fucking pictures. That's my biggest downfall right now. I'm a fucking drug addict, dude. I'm a recovering crackhead and coke addict. Jesus. I have a genetic predisposition to alcoholism. I come from a long line of drug dealers and moonshine runners and alcoholics.
Yeah, Virginia.
This thing is my downfall. It is fucking addictive, dude. This thing is so addicting. And
it is.
I get wrapped up in Facebook, especially, and social media, and I wish that I could toss this motherfucker in the river.
Yeah.
And just own a smartphone.
But your career essentially relies on it.
But I do. There is a part of me that feels like I need this to a certain extent to engage with people who support me and promote my shit and market and network with people like you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I wasn't paying attention to my Facebook Messenger, I would have never seen that.
Yeah, I hit you up.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If I just had a fucking a Nextel or not a Nokia flip phone like I'd like to have, that's just my friends can call me and bookers can call me, then I wouldn't have been able to have this with you. You know what I'm saying?
No, it's but once you're if you, like I said, when you get bigger and you have all that stuff, you're not worried about some of the stuff. You have like an agent that'll let you know the important stuff versus the non-important stuff. Because at that point, especially after Kill Tony and stuff, you were probably getting all kinds of random pictures and
people
probably dick pics and stuff, probably sending to you and stuff.
Pretty much, yeah.
So I can only imagine that when it's gotten to a point like that, like you said, you're on a huge show. The stuff that starts flowing in, because I get all kinds of weird stuff too, but it's usually just people trying to make a relationship and then say, have you heard about saving money on this? Some BS. But I
don't think a lot of people, especially other comedians, understand how much work and time and effort and stress goes into booking and running shows and trying to work on your own comedy and run a fucking comedy scene in a city. You know what I mean? It takes a team effort, and I don't get me wrong, I've had a lot of help from a lot of people too, but yeah, dude, it gets fucking overwhelming. And but so I had the 3 shows, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I'm trying to work on my own shit, trying to get weekend gigs, do my own podcast on Monday nights.
Yeah.
Then COVID hits. It stops things for however long. Things start to open back up a little bit. I think the first open mic that we did between COVID and then when things started opening back up, it was like the day after the George Floyd incident.
Oh, really?
So we did an open mic outdoors, and then the next day they started, we started, because I was there as well, protesting and marching around the city for Black Lives Matter. And a lot of the businesses and bars stopped. They put curfews on our city and shit like that because we were at ends with the police department, fucking tear gas and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
So that kind of put a halt on things again too. And then I started. Then it was Grapevine shut down. Then I was doing them at Rec and KC's, and it was awesome, man, because both were doing great. Because people were coming from all over. Because Fredericksburg, we were the only ones doing an open mic. I was the only one in the state hosting an open mic, really. So people were coming from fucking Virginia Beach, Richmond, D.C., Maryland. We had people that were, this gentleman, Nick, who is originally a Richmond comic, visited Virginia from New York and came to my mic to do time.
Wow.
So that's...
Just trying to get stage time.
Yeah. Doing that and being able to give all those people stage time was fucking awesome. It was such a blessing, and I'm so grateful that I was able to be a proponent of that. And I tried to give as many people opportunities as possible because that's what people have always done for me.
Yeah.
That's a big part of what comedy in the community is about, is passing the buck.
Yeah.
You know, people have helped me with my jokes. I help you with your jokes. You help the next guy with his jokes. That's what we do.
Usually not live on air like I just did.
Yeah, right. But so then it started getting overwhelming, man.
Really?
And not only that, but so the rec center started getting all these stipulations put on them. We didn't really get them at KC's, but the rec center, because of it sits in kind of the center of town, right next to town square, literally.
Yeah.
And you can see in the bar, like I can see to the the end of the studio over there. When you drive by, that you could drive by and see that there's people in here doing an open mic, because they were doing music there too, as well. So because of that, they started getting all these stipulations put on them, like, hey, you guys can do these shows, but you can't have a microphone. And you can do it, or you can do the shows, but you have to no on-site sign-up. And the city and the health department just started hitting rec center with all these bullshit stipulations. And I kind of had to be the one, and I could have been a better leader about it because I got discouraged about it. And then when I presented the information to the other comedians, I wasn't like, hey guys, they put this stipulation on us, but we're going to do this and it's going to be fun. I was like,
They're fucking us.
yeah. And that's been a big part of my problem. As much as I have been a leader in my community, in my comedy community, I'm very passionate about it. And I've let my emotions and my anger get the best of me sometimes because I've had trouble fully offering my perspective and my vision to other people and getting them to share it and see the potential that I felt and still feel that Fredericksburg comedy scene had, and that the Fredericksburg art scene has, because the community is a very artsy community. So the rec center mic started to die, and then I got in a position where I was running the KC's Music Alley mic. Well, KC's Music Alley is a shithole owned by a fucking slumlord who traps people, and he's just a fuckover. He's a giant fuckover scumbag, and not somebody who I want to have I don't want my name to be associated with him.
Okay.
And also at this same time, there was an incident at his other bar in town where kind of the true colors started to get shown. That one of their bouncers beat the holy shit out of this guy one day. And he has like injuries that are
Out of a comedian?
No, not a comedian.
Yeah,
it was
still,
just a bar, a patron that day.
Yeah.
And they like ran his it's a very grimy business. Don't get me wrong. He owns another bar in town, and the bars that he owns and the people that work there are great. I love all the bartenders and all the bouncers at those establishments. I hold those people near and dear to my heart. I really do. If any of them's watching this, I hope they don't feel like me talking shit about those venues as me talking shit about them.
The ownership.
But part of the reason that I hate the ownership so much that I do is because of the way that I see him treat those people. And yeah, he gives people opportunities, but he traps people too.
Yeah.
And he's tried to do it to me a couple times and tried to act like he owns the comedy scene or owns me. And I'm like, no, you fucking don't. So that show was succeeding, and the Rec Show was dying. Well, the Rec Show is my show. That's the one I started. That's my baby. Mm-hmm. That was my first open mic that I ever hosted.
Dang.
So when that starts dying and the other one's thriving, which it was thriving, I was doing a good job running that event. You know, we had artists coming out, like painters, these girls, and they would come sit in the back. And I had them like set up like a little art studio, and they would sit back there and paint and sell their art to people that would come to the shows. Then we had a music after party, where I let my friends Avery and Jamari, who they run a podcast as well called What's the Niche and Goldmine TV, and they're rappers, hip hop artists.
Oh,
so I would let them do an after party. A music after party after the comedy show. It gives them stage time to practice there because they're having trouble doing that as well with the COVID restrictions and with all the restrictions happening at the rec center. So I started letting them do that. We were having really successful shows. And as successful as it was and as much fun as everybody was having, it was killing my soul that the rec center show was dying, because not only is that my baby, but there's just something about that venue that's really... When I traveled to Bowling Green, Kentucky, I did comedy at this place called Tidballs. And Tidballs is where the band Cage the Elephant got their start.
Oh, really?
And when I was in town that week and actually met the lead singer, Cage the Elephant, partied with him. Damn. And they come back to town multiple times a year and perform at the college and at that small bar, because it's no bigger than the rec center. It's not that big of a venue.
Yeah.
They still come back to Tidballs every year and perform there. Which was just really cool to me, man. That guy really taught me how to be, if I ever make it to his, his level. So the rec center is kind of my Tidballs. It's that place that I hold near and dear to my heart.
Yeah.
That's where I want to come home to. I'm leaving to go to Austin, but Fredericksburg and Spotsylvania, exit 126 in Spotsylvania is my home.
Yeah.
So This is how my hairstylist put it to me. She said, it's like you're pregnant with twins and one is consuming the other.
Oh.
And that's what it was like. And the evil one was consuming the other. And I had a hand in it. I was perpetuating that process by continuing to host the shows. But I couldn't just, the rec center, they finally, nobody was showing up to do comedy. I had canceled however many shows in a row, and Melissa finally came to me and said, hey, Scott, we're going to start doing bingo. Do you want to host bingo? And I said, no, Melissa, I'm not going to host bingo.
Yeah, that'd be the lowest of lows.
And, I understood. I'm great friends with Melissa. I wrote an article about their venue. Like, I fucking love those people to death. Melissa and Mackenzie and Rory and Ryan, Tabby, who used to work there. That's all the bartenders and the cooks. So, when they took the opportunity away from us, I understood. We're not bringing in money to your venue. This is a business. I know we're friends and you love art and comedy, but I'm not bringing. It's a business, and
the show can't go on if there's no show.
Yeah, you got a fucking family to feed, dude.
Yeah.
And it's not like she's trying to get rich off of her venue, but she does have bills to pay and a family and a staff to pay.
She should be trying to get rich off her venue.
But
she's doing.
She
it right.
should. She's a fucking beautiful soul, and she has a great venue, and she's a musician. And they used to do shows there at the rec center, her band, and the rec center was about to get sold. The owner was selling it, and all these different people in town were trying to buy it, and they were all trying to turn it into a brewery and a fucking whatever else.
Yeah.
And the owner refused to sell it to any of those people and sold it to Melissa, because Melissa was the only one that was going to keep the rec center the rec center.
Yeah.
That place is a fucking landmark. It should be. We're trying to get it as a historic landmark.
Really?
So, yeah, go sign the petition for the Recreation Center in Fredericksburg to be a historic landmark. It's been around since the 40s. Best chili dogs in town. It's one of the only music venues in town. Legitimate music venue with a stage, and that's what it's meant for. And beautiful
sound
pool
equipment and all that.
Yeah, dude, it's the bomb. But So, I was very understanding when they took the opportunity away from us because of how much I love the place, and I just want to see it still be there.
Yeah.
I'll cut off a limb to save the body. Like, I don't care. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that happened, and it kind of broke my heart, and I didn't want to keep running the event at KC's, but I was caught between a rock and a hard place because I'm running one of the only open mics in the state.
Yeah.
And running the only one in town, and a lot of people are depending on me because I don't have all the responsibilities that everyone else has. I don't have a fucking full-time job and a family and all that other shit that I have to worry about that all the other comedians are worried about because they're responsible adults, and I'm fucking not. I've purposefully given up.
But you can use that time to work on hosting these types of things.
Right.
So
but,
that's, a plus.
But I knew that all those people were kind of dependent on me, and so I'm not going to lie, I wanted and needed the time, stage time too. I'm not going to sit here and act like everything's for everybody else. I need stage time too. I want stage time too. Hosting open mics makes me a better comedian. But so I ended up handing the open mic over to Monty Giles, who I spoke about earlier. He's the one that was supposed to go with Mumford to Austin.
Okay.
And since it was his first time running an event, it's not his first time hosting because I let him and a lot of other people host the event before. And I chose Monty because I felt that he was in the best position because, he has a girlfriend and he has a job, but he has a certain commitment to comedy that I recognized, along with his skill and ability to be a good host.
Yeah.
So I gave the show to him, and Brandon, and really wanted Brandon to help him in just someone to kind of help him.
To
a mentor,
the work around
to be
bit.
a mentor role and how to run the event.
At least
So I've handed it off to those guys. Back in December.
Yeah.
So I haven't been running the shows since December. I'm a member of the community, and I care about the community a lot.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be its leader anymore. At least not right now. And
Would you consider starting another one up in Texas?
I'm going to go join the community that's already there and start running my own shows and things like that.
That's what I didn't know if you'd host your own open mics and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'll do things like that. But like I said earlier, I'm very passionate about comedy and about Fredericksburg comedy and the vision that I had for the potential of that scene and everybody involved. And because of that, I let my emotions get the best of me too many times, and it resulted in me expressing myself angrily in angry outbursts, and that's not a sign of a good leader. So that's something that I'm really trying to get under control in my life right now before I get to Austin, because I'm not going to make it anywhere in life as a man, as a comedian, as a boyfriend, as a father, if I don't get my emotions and my anger in check.
Yeah.
So that's really what I'm working on now, man.
And you're a big ass dude too.
Yeah.
If you're angry, people are like,
You know what?
I would like 6'5".
I'm a sweetheart too. I'm a very loving, gentle soul. I wouldn't hurt a fucking fly. But since I'm big, when I get mad, people are like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
So yeah, man.
I've done it too. I'm not. I think everybody falls victim to that sometimes. But yeah,
we're human, right?
Yeah, straight on the podcast and everything. I've been cussing everybody out and everything.
Right.
It happens.
But
it's a part of life, I guess. But like you said, if you're going to be getting up in the positions that you're in, you try to keep it in check, I guess, or you'd like to. But
yeah, exactly.
I also talked last night about how I don't mind it that much. It's like when I see somebody irate, I'm like, they just care a lot. They're passionate,
right?
But
not everybody understands that.
Yeah.
That's a minority percentage of society that has that understanding. Not everybody's upbringing was like that. Even if it was, it's not something you necessarily do in public. It's more of
not
a
everybody's
private.
a Ken Dillon fan,
Right, exactly.
I am. I love it. Who's your favorite comedian?
Who are my favorite comedians? Oh, man. Chappelle, Bill Hicks, Rogan, Bill Hicks. Yeah. There's a lot of comedians that Greg Giraldo is one that I don't bring up.
You kind of look like a tall, skinny Sam Kinison.
Sam Kinison?
Yeah.
He's a fucking screamer, man.
Yeah, so he's kind of like what we were talking about, like a Tim Dillon type, like just goes off the whole time. But it works for some guys. I just don't understand how they do it. Because I've tried that type of not comedy, but being funny angrily or whatever, and it's just it doesn't work.
It's hard.
It is.
Well, that's
like Bill Burr, does it.
Yeah, Bill Burr does. That's another one of my favorite comedians. Bill Burr, the fucking muffins joke. That's probably one of my favorite stories. But the reason I named the first three, Hicks and Chappelle and Rogan, especially like present day Chappelle, is because they speak truth to power. They talk about actual shit. They're not distraction comedians.
Yeah.
They talk about deep concepts, and they make them funny. They do a good job of making them funny.
Yeah.
And sometimes because of that style, because of that content, they can come off more as like spoken word. You know what I mean? It can be very wordy because I've got to do a lot to build this up to get to that point where the joke is.
Yeah.
But I really appreciate that, especially Bill Hicks. And I'm a Tool fan. It's like my favorite band. And Bill Hicks and Tool is like, they go hand in hand. I actually grew up watching a lot of black comedians, though.
Yeah.
The original Kings of Comedy was the first DVD that I owned.
Oh, really?
Which is like Steve Harvey and D.L. Hughley, Cedric the Entertainer, and Bernie Mac. Bernie Mac is the headliner.
You a fan of Donnell Rawlings? He's funny.
Yep, Donnell Rawlings is very funny. He's from D.C. A lot of good comedians are from D.C.
I know.
Chappelle.
Whitney Cummings?
Yep.
Or somewhere in Virginia.
Martin Lawrence is a D.C. comedian.
Really?
Yep. Patton Oswalt is from Sterling.
Yep.
Wow. Yep. A
I
lot of talented D.C.
I just thought it was pretty much just the two. I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah, dude. DC used to be – if you go back and watch Def Jam Comedy especially, because like I said, Martin Lawrence was the host of Def Comedy Jam. And there's a lot of comedians throughout those first couple seasons that are from D.C. That's where they're billed from is D.C.
Really?
And a lot of talented comedians too.
Really? Well, the next – I mean, the biggest place here going to be soon is going to be Texas. So obviously, you're making the right move there as far as stand up.
Yeah. That's
the
Mecca.
Yeah, I mean, when you're on JRE in a year from now, I can look at it and say, that guy was on my podcast.
Well, hopefully it has some traction.
Would that be crazy?
This
I'm
is
saying,
the backlog.
How crazy would that be if you ended up on Joe Rogan?
That's the 3-year plan.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so 3 years from now, when you're on JRE, I can look at it and say, I had him on my podcast.
Yeah, before I turn 34, I expect to have made at least one appearance on the Joe Rogan Experience.
There you go.
That's a goal.
That's dope.
Yeah.
I hope
well,
it
the first
for
3
you.
years, I already did the one. I wrote that joke in 2018, the dog and LSD, and I've been fucking talking about that and willing that into existence for 3 years. So now I got 3 more. I think I can make the Joe Rogan Experience.
That'd be badass, dude.
Then within 9, 10, then that's the Netflix special and shit.
Really? Okay. Perfect. I like to hear it, man. I like to hear it. I appreciate you coming out. Do you have any like sponsors or clubs or anything that you want to give a shout out to real quick?
I would encourage everybody to go watch Born in Quarantine Improv. That's the improv troupe that I used to be involved in before I start. Another reason why I broke away from the improv troupe and running the shows is so that I could focus more on my comedy and climbing the ladder.
Yeah.
Just because I'm getting to a certain point where I'm like, I have to do these things and I'm sorry and like, it's just what I have to do.
Yeah.
But Born in Quarantine Improv, go check them out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You'll post. I'll send you all my links and shit. You can post them in, so everybody can find that. No, Gore Melts. I would strongly encourage everybody.
Yeah, I've heard about this place.
Yeah. Oh, you've heard about Gore Melts? You heard about it?
The guy that was on last night was just. They posted his picture from the other day. BJ Anderson. He went to Gore Melts. He posted his picture of his lunch. They like reposted it, and like it was a big thing.
First of all, the food is fucking slamming. The food is delicious, dude. The food is really good. It's family owned, and the owner Matt, he's the coolest, man. He's the best. He's an Army vet. He's a super nice guy. Him and his wife, and then their friends own the business, and all their kids work there and shit.
Oh yeah.
Yep, they're all super friendly, good people. The food is delicious, and it's America's fuck, dude.
Yeah.
So they were on Fox News recently because of he's been kind of fighting the
restrictions,
the COVID restrictions and stuff, and they actually just I think they just passed legislature or something and gave him the pass so that they're going to let him continue to do what he's going to do.
Yeah, they were trying to shut him down.
They were trying to shut him down. I did comedy back there not too long ago. I'm about to do comedy again on April 10th at Gore Melts in Fredericksburg, Virginia, off exit 126. DJ Tony B is hosting it. Strongly encourage everybody to come out there. I mean, people that are fans of your podcast will fucking love that place.
Yeah, some of them already do, I know.
Yeah, guys. Check out Gore. If you're in Virginia, make the drive.
Yeah.
Make the fucking drive to Gore Melts.
It's worth it.
Yeah. Matt is doing the Lord's work.
Yeah,
seriously, man. You are too, brother, man. I really appreciate you having me on.
Hey, no problem.
I thought we were going to talk more about NASCAR.
Well, we can. You have any RIR stories?
Dude, I have tons. I was thinking of one. I don't remember if it was the last race I went to at Richmond International Raceway. Dale Earnhardt Jr. won.
Oh, really?
And I was trying to remember because there was something significant about that victory. I don't know if it was his last win in the 8 or his first win in the 88. I want to say it was his last win in the 8.
Okay.
But I remember he won the race, and, a couple laps before the race was over, my friend Trey, and I was a kid.
Yeah.
I went there with my dad and 2 of his coworkers.
Oh,
we
really?
actually stopped at Dollar General on the way and picked up Mardi Gras beads.
Oh, yeah?
And they used me as a tool to get women to show us their titties.
Really?
Yeah, I was wearing Mardi Gras beads.
Yeah,
Man, that's like Redneck Music Festival, walking around the campgrounds at Richmond and Dover and all those different tracks. That's the best part of it, man.
Yeah.
That's where it's at, dude.
I know. The pre-show or the tailgating show is always just as good as the race.
Yeah. Are they doing Richmond? They're doing races. Are they letting people at the races now?
I don't know. And I know that they lost one of the races. They usually do 2 every year. I think now they're just doing 1.
Really?
Yeah. That and California. I think those are the 2 states that they pulled a race from.
I wonder if they're doing – it better still be a nighttime race at Richmond.
Yeah, well, for a while they did one night and one day. I don't know which one stayed.
They need to be both nighttime races, man. Come on. I've been going to that track since – my dad's been dragging me to that track since I was a little kid, man, like 3 years old, to go to the Busch races because I can get it for free.
Yeah, and not only that, when it's on a Sunday, it's during the day. I mean, when it's a daytime race, it's during the day on Sunday. So it's like you can't party.
Yeah, exactly.
On a Saturday, you can. On a Sunday, unless you take off work on Monday, it's like, okay,
Yeah. Yeah, the nighttime Saturday race is where it's at, man.
Yeah.
But I remember they Mardi Gras beads and Junior, he was my favorite. He won. I remember Trey and I, my friend Trey Sisk, who he used to live in a fucking camper in our backyard when I was a kid. Yeah, when my dad went to jail for a DUI one time. I lived with my grandpa, but Trey lived in the backyard. Grandpa, he's had a couple brain operations, early onset dementia.
Okay.
So Trey, who's like 19 years old, fucking big dope smoker party animal, is kind of the one who was like mentored me for a little while my dad was in jail.
Yeah. It's wild.
Until, yeah. But so anyway, Trey and I walked down to the checkered line. When we walked down the track, when Junior's on his last couple laps, knowing he's about to fucking win this, and every time he rode by on those last couple laps, we were like, yeah, at the fence as hard as we could. So when he won the race, he came around the track to do his donuts and shit. He pulled up to the wall where Trey and I were standing and fucking sat there and burned out for us. We were like, yeah.
That's sick.
It was like we had that moment with Junior, man. Like,
that's awesome.
I want to meet him one day, just like, hey, man, you remember when you won that race, Richard?
Hey, 3-year goal is JRE. 2-year goal is getting on Dale Jr. download.
Dude, that'd be cool as shit, man. Talk about old racing memories and stuff.
Yeah.
Dude, thank you so much for having me on.
No problem,
This is
dude.
a beautiful studio you have,
I appreciate it, dude. Thanks for coming out. Like I said, I know it's kind of a long drive, but at least you're not coming from Texas yet.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I got you before you left.
But I'm a hometown boy. I love Virginia. I got a fucking tattoo to write.
Ooh, I like that.
That's my grandma's name too. It's my
Oh,
first
really?
tattoo I got.
That's cool.
But I'm a hometown boy. I shed tears when I pulled into when I got off my exit to get home yesterday.
Really?
I was happy.
Yeah.
I will be coming back to Fredericksburg. You know what I mean? And when I come through this area, you'll know. So just, hey, if you want me to come on the podcast, let me know, brother. I'll come down here.
I'll stay in touch.
I'm
going to follow you now as far as your career and everything like that. Ever since I saw that and then we started talking, obviously, I'm a big fan and I'm excited to watch the growth and watch you
Well, likewise,
hone
brother.
in on it. Yeah.
Yeah. You got a lot of. You got sponsors. You got this beautiful studio. You're getting all kinds of guests. You're very consistent.
Yeah. I'm trying.
This is going to grow too.
I think so. I hope so.
No, don't hope. No, so.
I know
Just
so.
keep doing it. You know what I mean? Just speak it into existence and then put in the work behind that.
Yeah.
You can't just make a fucking vision board and then look back at it and go, yep, I'm going to be a NASCAR driver.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
You got to get out there
That's
and do
another thing,
something
too. The
about
consistency, like you said, is you got to. A lot of people want to do podcasts and then they like take a 3-week hiatus or like a 2-month hiatus from it. It's like, well, it just makes it tough that way.
it. Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, that's the other reason I'm moving to Austin is because even if I'm not doing booked gigs, they're doing them Tuesday through Sunday there.
Yes.
Booked, paid gigs. I
Yeah.
can get paid 6 days a week. But there's open mics every night of the week. Multiple open mics, all in walking distance of each other.
Really?
And doing that, those multiple mics a week, multiple mics a night, 6 nights a week,
that'll
that's
level
how
you
you
up.
grow as a comedian.
Yeah.
So anybody that, I ain't telling you nothing you don't know. If you want to do something, man, do it.
I got some fans down in Texas. Go down and check him out once he gets there. Follow him on comedian Scott Wharton.
Yes, sir.
And also Scott Wharton on Facebook is his regular page, and then also on Twitter, Instagram. YouTube channel is comedian Scott Wharton.
Yes, sir. Yep.
Yep. Check him out. And like I said, if you see him down in Texas, go check him out. I'll be following him, but obviously I won't be able to go to the shows. But yeah, if you're ever back in town, let me know. We can do it again.
Yeah, maybe you can come down there and we can fucking go camp out at Texas Motor Speedway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rip a live podcast from
and
Texas
do a
pits.
podcast from the fucking campground.
Yeah.
And we'll just start pulling randos over that are walking by and have them interview.
One of my brothers lives there, so if I'm ever down there, I'll hit you up.
There you go, man.
All right, buddy. I appreciate you doing this.
Dude, thank you so much, Ethan.
And like I said, let me know if you're ever back in town. We'll do it
Yeah,
again.
I will, man.
All right, bro.
Yeah.